I have some good news about the show today. Secular Talk is now officially off the YouTube Blacklist. So let me explain the backstory. Everybody bear with me. I know you've probably heard me discuss this roughly 15 times already, but some people might, they might stumble across this video and have not seen the previous segments on YouTube Apocalypse, so I feel like it's necessary to give the backstory virtually every time we talk about it. But I want to give you the backstory again and then tell you what this means and then explain what we do going forward. So, about, a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, was the beginning of what we're calling YouTube Apocalypse. You had advertisers basically decide en masse, we're done advertising with YouTube. Now, why did they decide that? Well, it basically boils down to an article in the Times of London and an article in the Wall Street Journal, and then later on there were others in other outlets. But they were hit pieces on YouTube that found really, really rare instances of an ad for a mainstream company getting on hateful content. So there was like this neo-Nazi-esque channel that had an ad for Kraft on it, I believe. That was the Times of London example. And what happened is advertisers saw that and they panicked and they went, I don't want my product alongside extremist material, so I'm pulling all of my ads from YouTube. Now, understand, they're basically overreacting to a non-problem because, if anything, the YouTube algorithms were already too tough. 99.999% of the time, you're not going to get an ad on hateful content. Again, the only time it slips through the cracks, there's a logical explanation. Like, for example, if the ad gets on a hateful channel, but that particular video was not hateful. If there's nothing hateful in the title and nothing hateful in the tags, how the fuck is YouTube supposed to know if it's hateful? So you don't have this widespread issue of ads getting on hateful content. Again, the problem is really the opposite, that channels like myself and other news and politics channels, whenever we talk about certain issues, it was instant demonetization. So you can't talk about ISIS, you can't talk about anything vaguely sexuality related, and then recently now they added new things into this category. You can't talk about religion, you can't talk about race, you can't talk about gender without basically instant demonetization. So advertisers overreacted and ran away. YouTube overreacted and said, we demonetized 5 times more videos. They bragged about that to the advertisers to try to get them to come back. It's like they're bringing the carcass of channels like ours to the foot of the advertisers and saying, see, daddy, did I do a good job? We're cracking down on more channels unnecessarily. Please come back. So how is it that we're now at the point that Secular Talk was literally on a blacklist and now we're off of it? I have no idea. I'm utterly clueless as to how that happened. Now, how do I know we were on a blacklist? YouTube would swear up and down they don't have a blacklist. They would swear up and down. But as David Pakman revealed the other week, he got an email, he got a letter from somebody who advertises specifically with his show, with our show, and with some other progressive media outlets. And she said, look, I'm saying I specifically want to buy it with these people and the ads aren't running. So that means YouTube was like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. We don't care. Even if you say specifically we want to advertise with them, we're not going to let you advertise with them. I don't know what the fuck to call that other than a blacklist. And as everybody knows, we had 475,000 views one day about, 4 days ago, maybe 5 days ago. And we made, again, I've been warned I'm not allowed because of YouTube terms of service to give you exact dollar figures, but even though I violated that a few times, I got to be careful about it. But I will say this, it was well over a 95%, in fact, over a 99% cut in revenue, even though we had 475,000 views, which means we're beating many of the shows on CNN in the key demographic. I mean, that's crazy. You have a channel that's more popular than CNN in the key demographic, and they're like, yeah, no ads for you and no revenue stream. So, but now, randomly, we're off the list. People started messaging me, not yesterday, but the day before, 2 days ago, like at night. They were like, I just saw Ned on your channel, dog. I just saw Ned on your channel. I saw one of the tweets and I was like, yeah, okay. Then I got a second one and I was like, Then when I got the third one, I was like, oh shit, that may have actually happened. So I went and I took a look, and it's true. So we're now off of the YouTube blacklist. That's the good news. There's bad news too, though. Here's the bad news. YouTube apocalypse isn't over because I know, because I speak to many other YouTubers, that it's now affecting, it's like a wave. It's now affecting smaller channels specifically. So, I have another connect who tells me, look, I've had this theory and I've seen it anecdotally in previous instances. When they roll out some sort of big change, it affects the bigger channels at first, and then it trickles down to the smaller channels. So there are channels that, and they're not, when I say small, I don't mean small overall, I just mean small comparatively. So there are channels that have maybe 100,000 subscribers or so that just, boom, hammer dropped on them recently. And it's a problem. So we still don't know what's really going on. And so we don't know how in the woods we are, if we're going to get out of the woods. We don't know what the new normal is. But that's why it's still super duper important that you support not just me, but also those other progressive channels that you might like, because it could just be now that they're starting to feel the hit. So whether it's the Humanist Report, whether it's the Benjamin Dixon Show, whether it's Jimmy Dore Show, David Pakman Show, obviously, he was kind of hit at the same time as me, but we're all affected to one extent or another. It's just a matter of when you get affected, how long it lasts, and also what is the new normal. So I could tell you guys, we're now off the blacklist, which means we're not making virtually nothing anymore. But it's still like a 50% cut. In what other industry are you like, yay, I got my pay cut in half? I'm not kidding. That was actually my reaction. My reaction was like, yes, oh goodness. Oh God, thank God it's only a 50% cut. That's awesome. So that, that's a weird kind of thing to be celebrating. But I think the most important point is we don't know if we're out of the woods or what happens from here. And bottom line, man, I don't trust YouTube at all anymore. At all. Because this proved to me, I never knew it was this volatile. I never knew they could just, pull the rug out from underneath you, go fuck yourself. I had no idea it was like this. Well, now I learned a very, very valuable lesson. You simply can't put almost all your eggs in one basket, meaning, hey, the main source of revenue for the show is this volatile thing that can be jacked from you in a heartbeat because of PC outrage and hysteria and advertisers running away and YouTube overreacting and cracking down. I'm now convinced 100% YouTube doesn't care about these independent content creators like us. They just don't. I mean, that's why YouTube TV rolled out around the same time we got demonetized, and it was YouTube apocalypse. Where do you think a lot of the ad money that's now been jacked from the independent creators is going to go? It's going to go to YouTube TV, to those creators, and when you go look at the list of who's part of YouTube TV, it's all TV. So it was all the ad money used to go to TV, then, oh, look at that, now you have this better thing coming up, this real free market where independent creators do a great job, and now we started to eclipse TV in terms of ad revenue, and then, wow, right as soon as that happened, boom, you have TV leapfrog us, do a deal with YouTube, and now YouTube is trying to switch the model up to basically be YouTube TV and more compete with Netflix and go back to a more traditional model than this free and open forum, which was the beauty of YouTube to begin with. And then boom, you revert all the ad revenue back to them, or a lot of the ad revenue back to them. So I don't trust YouTube at all. And I think it's super important now. I learned a very valuable lesson that everybody has to diversify their income stream. And it's not just me. Obviously people who do this as a career and they've set up businesses and they have workers and all that stuff. It's not just me. It's all the other outlets I named. So what I'm going to do is in the video description of this video, I'm going to leave the Patreon to a bunch of different big-time, progressive outlets, liberal outlets, atheist outlets, and support them if you can, man. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. And I was thinking about it last night. I don't think you guys understand how much it's appreciated, or maybe you do, I really don't know. if you just do like a $1 or $2 a month contribution to your favorite outlets. I mean, you guys basically, you saved this show. I mean, when we had our ad revenue cut literally over 95%, it was like, whoa, goodness, there's going to be gigantic changes coming to how we do stuff. But then you guys swooped in via Patreon and you're like, sit down, son, we got you. And it was really humbling. But you have to understand that it's not just me, it's also other up-and-comers who are not, they don't have as big of an audience behind them yet, so maybe if they get saved, it's not as pronounced, it's not as big of a bump. And I don't know what their overhead costs are like, and obviously there are all these different variables, but I'm going to leave a bunch of different Patreon links in the video description here. And, you know, whatever, $2 a month to each, or to however much you're comfortable, whatever it might be, man. But, and obviously, you know, for our show, as I've said before, we're now going to solely rely, or I shouldn't say solely, because that's not true. We have the Amazon link, we have Patreon, but we're going to mostly rely on Patreon. So patreon.com/seculartalk. $2 a month would mean the world. And also just keep using the Amazon link. So I'll leave the Amazon link on the screen here. I'll also leave that in the video description box. And that's like, if you already shop on Amazon, there's just like literally no downside, because I think it's 5% to 7% of the revenue, or maybe 8%, 5 to 8% of the revenue for your purchases on Amazon come here, and it doesn't cost you anything. So it's just like, you know, you're saying, hey, whatever, just give them a cut real quick, give Secular Talk a cut real quick, and I get whatever I want for the same price. So there's no, you know, there's no downside to that if you already shop on Amazon. And again, I'm not allowed, according to the Amazon terms of service, to say bookmark it. So again, I'm just going to shut the fuck up here for 5 seconds and you can fill in the blank. It's not that you're not allowed to do it, I'm just not allowed to say it explicitly or something. I don't know why. I think they might even discourage people from, they don't want, you know, people to primarily use those links, because I think then they lose a cut. So, I mean, I guess that's the reasoning behind it. But anyway, that's the good news is we're off the Secular Talk blacklist. Bad news is there's still an giant cut, and we don't know what the new normal is going to be. And the further bad news is it's unpredictable, and we can't trust YouTube. And now other channels that probably need the support even more, smaller channels, they're now affected too. And they're being affected in a big way, in the same way that we were affected last week when it was just YouTube-apocalypse and over 95% cut. So it's still a tumultuous time for progressive media and for news and politics in general on YouTube. And again, it's the generosity of you guys in the audience that really is a game changer and saves us.